In today's video, we will be concerning ourselves with the topic of the best man. We will be going over questions such as, who is the best man? Or what qualities should he have? To answer these questions, we have to start by looking into Plato's Republic, one of the most famous philosophy books even of our times, and its notorious discussion of the perfect city, Kallipolis. For the start of our search, it is important to introduce the Greek conception of human soul. Greeks believed in the concept that the soul of a human being consists of three parts: rational, this being the mind or reason; appetitive, this being its desires and needs; and spirited, this being its anger and temper. They also believed that everything in the world has its virtue, excellence, which is a function that it performs best. Therefore, these three parts have their own virtues, which wisdom, which comes from the reason part; moderation, which comes from the appetitive part; and courage, which comes from the spirited part. It is important to say that Greeks did put a big emphasis on the virtues of a soul and considered them the most important for human beings. Therefore, we will be working under the assumption that whoever possesses these virtues of a soul is likely to be our best man. Now to explain what Kallipolis is and why is it important for our today's topic. Kallipolis is a theoretical city that had been created by Plato to help him in a search for what justice is in human beings. He was doing that under the assumption that while cities are made of people, then city will have to have the same qualities as its inhabitants. Therefore, it will be easier to spot justice in the city compared to looking for it in an individual, while city is much bigger. Therefore, just as humans have three parts of a soul, the city has to reflect a soul and contain these three parts: wise part, courageous part, and moderate part. According to this, there are three classes in Kallipolis: class of moneymakers, who are normal people, and these people represent the moderate part of a soul; auxiliaries, who are a professional army, and they reflect the courageous part of a soul; and lastly, guardians, the ruling class, who reflect the wise part of a soul. Now it is important to bring into the discussion the topic of justice. Justice, as the fourth virtue, according to Plato, reflects the harmony between these three parts of the city, where the few wise, the guardians, rule over the many, the moneymakers and the auxiliaries, while only they possess the knowledge which makes the city wise, the same way as the brain, which is the smaller part, would rule over its body, which is the bigger part. The courageous part, auxiliaries, is preserving the city from distraction from external and internal evils. And lastly, the moderation part is the accepted submission of the inferior many, moneymakers, to the rule of the superior few, guardians. This, in the end, results into the perfect harmony, which we call justice. Kallipolis has to preserve this harmony at all costs. Therefore, there are some rules which might sound strange to us, such as, wealth and poverty are forbidden, rich people tend to become lazy, and poor people are unable to do their profession well enough, while they cannot buy the proper tools. Families are forbidden. People tend to put family before state. Therefore, if you have to consider the whole city as your family, you get rid of this problem, at least in theory. And lastly, each person in Kallipolis does only one job, while one person cannot have virtue in more than one profession. We can explain this on an example, where if you were to train to be a baker all your life, somebody who only started learning to bake a month ago would be inferior to your skill. Therefore, he would be not as productive as he should be and would not achieve excellence, while he would be always inferior to you. All of these restrictions are made in the name of preserving harmony or the unity of the city. It is called the best city, while it is the only city that can be called a city. All of the other cities are, according to Plato, many cities, while they are at all times in a state of internal war between the rich and the poor part of the city. Kallipolis, on the other hand, behaves as a single organism, like a human body that has achieved perfect harmony, which is in this context called justice, where each part does its own work. It is an harmonious city, which is always superior to other cities, which are not one but many, always fighting with itself. Therefore, this city is also allowed to grow only up to a point where it still could be considered a city. Beyond that, it would become many cities and lose its status as the best city. Now to finally move to the topic of the best man, while this city is analogous to human soul, which has achieved virtue, its people should consequently also be virtuous. However, the same way we would call a city wise, because it is able to do wise decisions, which are done by the smaller ruling class, we have to look for this best man in the best and at the same time smallest, most virtuous class in the city, which is the class of guardians. Guardians class is the most important class in the city, while only the best people can become guardians. They all start as auxiliaries, or in other words, the warriors. They receive education in music and poetry and physical training. Everything is specifically designed that they become wise, courageous, moderate, and just. In short, the best they can get, or in other words, virtues. Those that show to be exceptional in virtue of a soul become guardians. Surprisingly, for its time, they also accepted the idea of women guardians too. However, not even all of the guardians are on the same level of virtue. This distinction is made by series of tests and challenges. All of their life, guardians are being tested by being exposed to desires and fears. Some of these tests test their moderation, for example, being exposed to the desire of acquiring wealth, eating food that they ought not to, or be with a woman or man that they cannot be with. Some of those tests are designed to test their courage, putting them through rough physical training to see if they endure, and placing them in dangerous situations to see if they run away. Only those that pass all of these challenges are suitable to become philosopher kings and queens. It is important to note that only the older guardians can become rulers. Why? The older guardians, while they are older, have been consequently put through more tests than the younger ones. Therefore, they are the most suited to become the rulers, and they have proven that they are indeed the most virtuous men and women. Only these most virtuous ones are able to acquire the title of the philosopher king or queen, the best man or woman there is, and rule Kallipolis, the best of the cities. Philosopher king is the master of all virtues, while he is wise, courageous, moderate, and just. He is wise because his rational part rules over his body and is able to keep appetites in check. He is courageous, while he is able to persevere through pains and desires. He is moderate, while the appetitive part, which desires and wants, submits to the rule of the reasonable part. And lastly, he is just, while he has achieved this harmony between all of the parts of the soul, where all of them do their own job the same way as the different classes do their job in the city. This then is the image of the best man there ever was or will be, according to Plato. While we are coming to the end of this video, let us briefly summarize what have we discovered today. We started with a discussion of different parts of the soul and their representation in the city of Kallipolis, the best city. Then we moved on to analyze each of these parts, explained what is their role in the city and why are they analogous to the parts of human soul. After this, we have explained what justice, or in this case harmony, as the fourth virtue according to Plato is, and how this city puts top priority on preserving it, and why does this fact make Kallipolis the best city ever. Then we have explained where do we have to, in this harmonious city, look for our best man, who will be the most perfect personalization of the city itself. From this, we have arrived to the conclusion that it would be best to look into the ruling class of the city, this being the guardians. And here in the guardian city, we have indeed found our best man, the philosopher king, who is the master of all four virtues of human soul, who lives in harmony with himself, and who is, the same way, the one city of Kallipolis is superior to all of the many cities of the world, superior to us all. Arriving to this conclusion means that we are at the end of this video. I hope you will find it interesting, and see you next time.